We may be witnessing the beginning of Russia's internal collapse as we speak. The invasion may have caused Russia's entire future due to the severe economic collapse brought on by sanctions. In fact, Russia's central bank predicts the worst economic downturn of any major economy in 2018. Welcome to Investing Path, and for today's video, we will discuss how serious the situation is in Putin's Russia and how long the country's economic slide can be ignored. As the sanctions began to be implemented, what effects did they have on the regional and international economies? But hold on, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe while you're at it to see more of our future content as we continue. Now, we won't waste your time anymore, so let's begin. Many individuals were surprised to learn that Russia's economy had not collapsed. Despite widespread expectations to the contrary, Russia's economy did take a hit from the sanctions at first, but the country was able to recover, thanks to its robust oil and gas industry. As oil prices fell and less money was made from selling oil to other countries, Russia's economy began to look bleak. Putin's invasion of Ukraine began almost immediately, and the anti-Russian elements in the country were likely imposed more swiftly and forcefully than anyone had imagined. Companies from other countries have severed connections with Russia and pulled billions of dollars in investments to show their disapproval. Because of Russia's activities, risking world peace, globalization, which has led to the ongoing economic progress of every nation, is now being used against Russia. It was a sobering reminder that no matter how interdependent countries are, their fortunes can shift in an instant. In just 1 year, the Russian economy was predicted to contract by 15% due to these sanctions. To name only a few examples, these measures included restricting oligarchs' travel abroad, freezing Russia's foreign exchange reserves, and limiting access to key trade supplies. In spite of this, not everything played out as planned. The battle initially caused a drop in the value of the Russian ruble, but it has since recovered and even increased from its pre-conflict level. The initial prediction of a 15% drop in the Russian economy was revised downward to 7%, then 5%, and finally 4%. And instead of the Russian economy collapsing, the news cycle was dominated by the difficulties experienced by European economies as a result of Russian countermeasures. Russia, in a nutshell, initiated war. Instead of intervening quickly out of concern for a nuclear escalation, the other superpowers decided to sanction Russia into oblivion, effectively destroying the nations of the world. Those responsible for enforcing the sanctions were the ones who paid the price. While it would be misleading to claim that Russia's ability to wage a modern war was unaffected by the punishment, the country's lack of access to microchips did pose a substantial obstacle. The sanctions have effectively killed the automotive industry in the country. Since key equipment from Europe and the United States hasn't arrived, the aircraft industry has fallen decades behind schedule. Due to shortages and rising costs, inflation in Russia has reached a whopping 12%. This is happening when the Fed is cutting interest rates to fight the recession. So, if things are falling apart, how is Russia continuing the flight? The answer lies in oil and gas. Russia made $100 billion on the sale of imported fuel in the first 100 days. Since oil prices increased, it reduced its oil exports with reducing its revenue. Europe was its largest market, but the continent was slow to end its imports because of the product's high replacement cost. A rise in imports from China and India more than offset any loss in income. Since oil prices were much higher in 2021, Russia was fine with the price cut because they were able to lower a price that had been raised. But as concerns about rising oil demand go on, prices are expected to continue their downward trend. As exports to the EU decreased, it was expected that rising demand would be met by suppliers in India and China. However, China and India's demand is falling as Russia attempts to reduce its price cuts. The European Union decided in December to stop buying Russian oil, which had a major impact on Russia's income from gasoline sales. Russia is also expected to deplete its war reserves by 2023, making it even harder to fund a battle at that point. The regulated price of oil in Russia. Likewise, Western nations are attempting to place a price ceiling on Russian oil in an effort to prevent Russia from continuing to profit from high oil prices and to ensure that countries that want Russian oil may continue to acquire it. Though the particulars of this price ceiling have not been settled upon as of yet. One strategy to prevent conflict with foreign countries is to act aggressively. How do you get countries like China and India to respect the price floor set by the West? It is tricky. Therefore, one option is to threaten sanctions against those countries if they don't adhere to these pricing caps. However, this isn't likely to lead to warmer relations between these countries. On the other hand, Biden allegedly isn't giving this approach any thought. One alternative is to implement a ceiling on oil prices via the maritime industry's indispensable insurance providers. In order to set sail, ships transporting the vast bulk of the world's oil must first obtain insurance. Insurance companies would only insure a vessel if the price of the oil on board was within the predetermined range, because the insurance market is mostly regulated by Europe and the United States, which wield considerable influence. In order to avoid a drop in top-line revenue, Russia must stick to the price cap on oil exports. Oil is important to Russia's economy, but gas is also a major revenue source. Since gas pipelines are so time-consuming to construct, especially as European countries cut their gas purchases from Russia, it is challenging for Russia to find new clients. If Europe ever achieves a gas independence point from Russia, the ramifications could be disastrous, even as Russia increasingly loses its ability to pay the war. Putin's actions are eroding any hope the Russian economy and its people have for a better future. For what reason are so many Russians leaving their country? On September 21, 2022, Putin announced the partial mobilization of males in Russia, ordering 300,000 men to join the fight in Ukraine. Many people have attempted to escape the country as a result of this news. As an example, in Georgia, where more than 300,000 men have already fled the country since the invasion began, huge lines of transportation have been seen as long as 10 kilometers. Bloomberg estimates that over 360,000 people fled the nation immediately following the announcement. Estimates go up to about 1 million, but it is hard to pinpoint the exact number of people who have fled. These are able-bodied adult males who are leaving a country that is already struggling economically. Employers in this category are crucial to an economy's ability to grow and recover. The fallout from such a mass departure is devastating. Most of Russia's working-age population isn't chipping into the country's economy. As a result, businesses in Russia are closing down due to a lack of personnel and absence of measures to remedy the situation. Russia has been keeping this conflict running for how long do you think? If you have any thoughts about this one, please let us know in the comments section and we'd be more than glad to join in. This is Investing Path, and if you like this one, don't hesitate to hit the like, subscribe, and bell button to see more of our personal financing and investment news and updates for you. Thanks again, and we'll see you in our next videos.